Let's talk about some other stuff that you probably haven't heard. Actual tips to make more money on DoorDash other than driving the best spots during the best times, find the busiest restaurants, try to drive on peak pay. I get that. Let's talk about some other stuff though to really stand out. What is your main resource making these deliveries? Because look, honestly, this is not hard stuff. That's what I've said from day one. It's not hard, which is what kind of makes it hard. Minimal barrier to entry. And then the workload's not that hard. Just pick this up and deliver it over there. But equipment wise, I guess in the car, chargers, phone holders, but your hot and cold bag, actually making the delivery, that is the thing you're going to use to do all this stuff, right? So here's what I would do. Number one, don't take the food out of this hot and cold bag before you're at the door, basically. So what does that do? Why does that matter, right? You could be like,
well, temperature, yeah, it's a couple of minutes. If it's an apartment
it's not even that. It's if you run into the customer, because I guarantee, even if it's a contactless, because 99% of these are contactless now, sometimes the customer is going to hear you, they're going to open the door, and if you're just holding their order, it's going to look unprofessional if you already took it out. You just left the hot and cold bag in your car. And even before that, getting to the restaurants, it's going to make you look unprepared, like you don't know what you're doing if you don't have a hot and cold bag going into that restaurant. I've seen it, you pick it up, and I've even done this, and I try not to ever do this, but sometimes it happens that you go to the restaurant first, you bring it to your vehicle, and then you put it in the hot and cold bag. Temperature wise, yeah, it's probably not going to make a big of a difference, but did you know you are required to bring that hot and cold bag in the restaurant per DoorDash? So if a restaurant sees you without the hot and cold bag, just letting you know, they could say, hey, go get it. We're not getting the order till then. Number two is super easy, but I noticed this in the last 6 months or so. They used to not do this. Just verify your pizza bag if you have one. And this is actually kind of important. Drop a like on this video if you appreciate this tip here. But DoorDash is asking you to verify a pizza bag to get a better chance and more pizza orders. Yeah, more pizza orders. And I guarantee you, you're going to have a lot of pizza orders in most any marketplace. Compound that if you're doing sporting events. Number three, when you are making that delivery, 9% of orders are what? I just mentioned it. The vast majority of these orders are contactless. And that's a massive change, I think, since pre-pandemic 2020, where I'd say 50-50. Or maybe more. Let me know what you think. 70, 50, I don't know. 50 to 70% were in-person, hand-it-to-me deliveries. But what happens in those percent of orders that it is hand-it-to-me? You have to see the customer. It's going to go like this. So I'm arriving to the destination, right? Nothing. Try it again. And nothing. Maybe you knock, and then you're going to call or text the customer via the Dasher app, and they're not responding. Here, I would immediately start the wait timer. Immediately. As soon as you hit the doorbell, then you knock, you have a backup like call or text. At that point, if they're not responding, start that wait timer immediately, because I believe it's 5 minutes. Correct me down below if that's changed, but I don't want to wait that long. And then I've already maybe taken a minute's waiting already, and you can't make that delivery until you wait for that entire counter to count down. Number four, updated. Certainly, this is massive for 2023. You have to have different strategies for earn by order, the traditional route, order at a time, and then earn by time. Now in 2023, there's different peak pay, the incentives for each. There's different peak pay. Depends on your market. If it's not, let me know. But the earn by order and then the earn by time, this might have $2 peak pay. This might have $4, but it's an hourly guarantee. There's more restrictions. Is that worth it? You have to have different strategies. Number five, another thing that I guarantee people aren't telling you and or you haven't thought of, and it doesn't matter if you're new, intermediate, experienced, and even not on DoorDash, any of these apps, you have to screenshot anything out of the ordinary. What would it be? So exceptionally high Peak pay, yeah, I guess, but specifically batched bonuses, I'd say. So I remember one, I think was on rideshare maybe, or maybe delivery, but I had to do, let's say, I don't know, 100 trips, whatever it is, and then I get an extra like $300. I would screenshot, number one, the terms if I'm going for it, especially if it's going to take a long time. So if I have to do 30, 50, 100 trips, it's going to take some time. So screenshot firstly the terms of service so you have proof of what they're offering, any restrictions, and then I'd screenshot like when I'm 30% of the way through the bonus, 50%, 75%, and then ultimately completing that bonus. Because listen, I'll give it to you straight here. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. By the way, check out our site, yourdrivermight.com, for courses and resources to help you with these side hustles. Now, this is app-based stuff, right? It's tech app-based stuff. So it's not perfect. Things happen. Have that proof there. I'd screenshot almost anything out of the ordinary. If it's a weird interaction or specifics or address change, I'd say certainly an address change from a customer, anything unique with support. Like I remember one time where the red card wasn't working, so you have to pay with your own cash or card. It's super seamless. You just send the receipt, screenshot to DoorDash support. They reimburse you basically immediately, but just in case, screenshot. Number 6, in the workflow of making a delivery here, the contactless will say, what do you do? So I'm at the door. I don't have to see the customer. I set the food down at the door, and then what does the app prompt you to do? It prompts you to take a confirmation picture. So number 1, take a good confirmation picture. I will give it to DoorDash. They actually have good recommendations of what a good confirmation picture is. I agree 100% with this. Have like the door, have context clues, have the house apartment number, context. Don't just zoom in on the bag and the food like this much and there's 0 context clues. I've had that happen here at our apartment complex. There's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 exterior doors that I can think of. And if they don't deliver at the main doors, I've had this happen. I remember this. I walked around this entire apartment complex because there was no context clues of which door it was at. Oh, by the way, if you didn't know, again, because I'm giving you tips here of things you might not have heard before, when do you leave? Like, you take the picture and then you're out of there, right? On Contactless, it's contactless. I deliver, I take the picture, and then I'm gone. I want to get my next order, right? Yeah, DoorDash says you technically should stay and make confirmation from afar that the customer got the food. Listen, between you and me, I think it's okay if you get out of there. And number 7, save those cancellations. You have an astounding, really, like 20% leeway of your acceptable completion rate of accepting and then completing that order. Now, that stops once you actually pick up the order. So you cannot really, under any circumstances, cancel after you've picked up the customer food, barring an emergency. I understand that. Just when you can safely, let customer service know. Now, saying that, I would not go close to that 20% margin, and you should not be canceling more than what? What do you think? 5, 8, 10%? You shouldn't be dipping closer to that 15, 20% of orders after you've accepted it. I mean, you should be making that decision before you click the accept button, but reserve those cancellations. Just make sure you're not canceling like for very little reason, like not smartly, because you should be making that decision when you get the order request on that accept screen if an order actually makes sense for you. So truly, reserve those cancellations. You're going to be glad you did.